Good evening. This is Eugenie Ermas with Awaken Your World Transformational Coaching, and we're doing a personal development training, which is called Grow Your Voice, and we're using the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John Maxwell. Very interesting book. And today we have a guest with us today, Debbie Sage, and I'm so excited to have her with us. Welcome, Debbie. Glad you could be here.
Glad to be here.
I love it because it makes it more interactive.
Yes.
So I really do. And I'm going to share that key I told you about so we can have a little bit of an outline to go by.
Okay.
And it will be on the recording so that I don't want that one. Let me do this. Since you don't have the book yet, we're going to do this. And I can't. Can you see me, Debbie?
I can.
Okay, good. Because I see you.
Okay. Yep, I can see you.
Okay. Well, this is the law of awareness. And Debbie, what does that mean to you? What does the law of awareness mean to you?
Well, just the word awareness, just being aware of your surroundings, aware of who you are, aware of why you do what you do. It's a lot of soul searching, I think, in awareness, and you have to be willing to be honest, in searching for awareness instead of just kind of blindly going through life,
Well, it's actually shown that a good portion of the population never wakes up. They never become aware and they go through life on autopilot, which is okay. And they just kind of coast to retirement, never really living the life they want or doing what they really want to do.
It's like I always say, it's like living in a state of oblivion. And sometimes it's good if you have a stressful life. It's like, I wonder how they live in that state of oblivion. And they might have something there.
Well, sometimes I think they might.
They're not aware of what's going on around them,
Well, and they're not. And I kind of compare it to a couple of weeks ago, we had a tropical storm run through, and I am notorious for not watching TV and not watching the news.
Me too.
And all of a sudden this wind blew up and everything. And one of my clients says, there's a tropical storm coming through. I said, well, no, I was not aware of that. But I was actually very oblivious because I really didn't know it was coming. But now I'm watching, they got me back on WLTX weather. So now I'm watching the news again.
That's right. Just put it on your phone. You'll get alerts.
No, thank you. Well, I want to read this quote. It says, the law of awareness, you must know yourself to grow yourself, because you can't grow unless you know what needs to change. And I mean the good, bad, and the ugly. We all have it. I mean, I'm a huge procrastinator. I'm also, in the last lesson, we went over the gaps, and my big gap is the gap of comparison. Mm-hmm. I'm always comparing myself to others, not because I want to be better than they are, but because I think they're better than I am. Mm-hmm. And so that's a part of me being aware of that. I drove to the IMC convention a couple of weeks ago, and I was driving my little vehicle, and I drove to this big, huge hotel. It was the Orlando World Center Marriott outside of Disney. And I looked at that place, and I'm going, oh, I don't belong here. Oh, I don't belong here. Oh, I don't belong here. But because I am becoming more aware, I realized that was a little wheel that goes in my head. That's not necessarily true. It's not true, but it's something I've told myself for a long time. Mm-hmm. So I just pushed through that and went and had a great time and did a lot of learning. But I could have said, nope, I turned my little car around and left.
Well, just that you went by yourself was major.
Oh, well, yeah, I did go by myself.
I know that would be scary for me,
Well, Well, I figured I was pretty safe, and it turned out wonderful that you did not feel like you were by yourself. And being an introvert, I had a balcony, which was a surprise to me. And after all the hullabaloo of the convention, which there were 1,800 people there.
Mm.
And I had my mask and my face shield on, like a space alien, but hey,
That's all right.
that was all right with me. I could go on that balcony with a cup of coffee or a glass of water and snack and just breathe. And that also comes down to awareness, being aware that because I am an introvert, that I gain my energy from being by myself and having that space. So that's also another way of being aware.
Yes, exactly.
And this quote by James Russell Lowell says, "No one can produce great things who is not thoroughly sincere in dealing with him or herself." So you have to be very honest with yourself and know yourself and be aware.
Yes,
Because
you have to be able to say, that is what I do, and why do I do that? You know, I had to, in my growing process, I've had to not think emotionally because I am an emotional person. So I had to think logically, which is not my norm, and to be able to say, yeah, why do you do that? And just think about it logically instead of emotionally, where I would then beat myself up for
right.
why do I do that? And so that helps. So being a logical thinker is outside of my comfort zone. More emotional, where nothing makes sense, nothing's logical.
Well, now, see, I think you need both. I think you can have those people that are so logical that they're not empathetic.
Yeah.
They're very cut, dry, and you need those people. They're great at certain jobs and things that they do.
Yes.
Then you have those who are just so emotional that they don't have any analytical skills.
Paralyzed.
Yes. So you really do need both.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good that you're working outside your comfort zone and developing that logical thinking so that you can be a balanced person.
And more realistic,
Realistic.
It helps me to deal with reality instead of the emotion and all those negative self-talk things.
I do know very much. So there's in the book, there's a story about this man named Henry M. And Henry M, excuse me, suffered from epilepsy, and they did a surgery on him. And a consequence of the surgery was he had no recent memories. None whatsoever.
Mm.
He couldn't find his way to the bathroom. He couldn't do a jigsaw puzzle. He could do the same one every day, and it was new to him. His family moved, and he never could learn how to find the bathroom because he didn't have any recent recall at all. It just was gone. And this is kind of like a person who doesn't have awareness.
Mm-hmm.
They go through their life just the same as they do every day. And if something hits them that's new, they tend to panic or either stick their head in the sand because they don't have any direction or any awareness or skills to deal with it.
No coping skills.
No coping skills and no sense of direction.
Mm-mm.
So in order to change and to grow, you kind of have to have a sense of direction.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the first questions is, well, let's put this way, there's three kinds of people. Okay. You have the people who don't know what they would like to do. They have no idea. They don't know. People who know what they would like to do, but don't do it. And you have people who know what they would like to do and do it. And those are the people who are the most fulfilled.
Don't you think those are the ones who get to that self-actualization that Maslow talks about?
I think some of them get to that point, and I think some are still working to get to that point.
Yeah, when they're doing their purpose, I guess.
Yeah, I think sometimes, I think there are very few people that actually reach that pinnacle.
Yeah.
And the rest of us are just kind of working step by step by step to get there.
Mhm.
Because we have to have, like the key says, we have to have a sense of direction.
Exactly.
You have to know your strengths. So Debbie, what are some of your strengths?
What are some of my strengths?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I'm a survivor. I'm an empathetic person. I've always been the person that people in the family go to, I'm that person. And the one that'll take care of everything, and which it can be a detriment at times if you don't turn that around on yourself. And my strengths, I have good boundaries, and it took a long time to get those.
Right.
So yeah, I think some of those are good strengths.
Okay, I think they are too, especially that it takes a long time sometimes to set boundaries, especially if you're the one that the family goes to.
Mhm.
And you're the one that's always taking care of everything. There comes a time when there's something that you just can't take care of. And you have to be strong enough to say, I can't do that. I have no idea how to
And
do
not
that.
my job.
It's not my job, and I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So let's find somebody who can,
Mhm.
But so I think boundaries are incredibly important.
Yes.
And what are some of your weaknesses?
Some of my weaknesses, I think my anxiety,
Hmm.
because like you said, that gets in your head about the comparison, or I'm worried I'm not doing this, or I'm a very self-conscious person when it comes to my work and things like that. And and want to do a good job and find fulfillment in that, and dealing with a lot of bereaved people. I always pray, Lord, please don't let anybody feel left out. I don't want anybody to feel like I don't care, or if there's somebody there, put them on my mind, and it seems to work pretty good, because I can't worry about it. I just have to do what I can do, and I do cut it off, at a certain time. But um um that negative self-talk, I think, is a weakness for me, and I don't need anybody else to tell me my faults. I can do that all by myself, thank you.
But what I find is helpful with that is when you have those negative self thoughts and those reels, is to be able to learn how to stop it and then reframe it.
Mhm.
Because I know when I was down at the IMC, I'm like, I don't belong here. I don't belong here. I don't belong here. I said, but why not? There are people who are in the same level I am. So why shouldn't I be here?
Yeah.
Because I can learn and I can grow and all those kind of good things. But then again, I could have kept saying those negative things and never left my hotel room.
Exactly. I could
So
talk myself out of anything.
I can too. But the thing is with that is learning to, it sounds silly, but learning to do it afraid.
That's where the courage comes.
Even if you're afraid, you can use that energy to move yourself forward.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
definitely learned how to do that.
I saw myself in my great nephew a few years ago. He was born on my birthday. And so he was just a few years old, and he just he was just afraid of everything. And I remember my mom telling me when I was little how shy I was, and I'm an introvert. Some people don't believe it, but I really am. And she said how shy I was then and afraid of everything. And I just wouldn't say anything, you know. And so when I saw him, I was like, wow, I saw myself in him. And he'd be so afraid, but he'd do it anyway. Do it anyway. You know, I'm afraid, I'm scared, I'm scared.
We'll do it anyway.
I'm do it anyway. And I said, that's the ticket right there. Just do it anyway.
Just do it
you
anyway.
know, and see what happens.
I think that the man who wrote this book is very much aware of himself. He had a wonderful worship service, and he was inclusive of more than just a Christian faith. We had a lot of people come to Christ after that worship service. But
Oh, wow.
you know, he said, he says, I am a Christian. Jesus Christ, he says, is the best leader I've ever known.
Mm-hmm.
But he says, I'm not going to push my faith on you because you have your own faith.
Mm-hmm.
And if that works for you, that's great. But he started the worship service out with the hokey pokey. But when he did that, it got everybody relaxed and everybody was laughing, and they weren't worried about, you know, what they appeared like. They were all out in the hall, in the places between the seats, out their seats, doing
being silly.
pokey. That's right, and having a good time. But that also comes because he's aware of himself, and he's so aware of himself and sure of himself that he doesn't worry about what others might think.
Don't need your approval.
No.
Yeah.
So that's and interest. I think knowing our interests are real important. I have an interest in and a passion, which I discovered in the past 2 or 3 years with helping women find their voices and overcoming the masks that society and the church
Yes.
have mandated we wear. So I have a strong interest in that, which actually I was working for the local hospital. I had gone back for the 3rd time. I think I used the hospital as a crutch because I could always go back. But this time I went back, I realized I wasn't the same person. And I love the coaching part of the labor delivery process. But there's other parts of it that I really just didn't enjoy. I really didn't want to do. So it ended up a good thing that I left there and did something different because my interests are different. And because I'm aware now of my interest and what I'm passionate about, I'm also aware of what I'm not interested in anymore. How about you?
Yes. Mine is similar to yours, but it's because my journey went of the way of death and grieving and all, and started out with my own. I was really driven, and like you, the doors just open, started opening and everything. But my desire is to empower people to live the best life that they can until they leave this world, because it's really, it's not about us, it's what impact can I make on others to help them to really become aware of their feelings, their, everything, just to be honest with, and embrace the hardships or whatever,
Right.
To live their best life until they leave and not walk through the rest of their life in a fog, And so, and it's possible. It's possible to live a wonderful life, and still carry that grief and it be a part of who they are. And I think
Mhm.
we may always struggle or fight those demons of that voice that we have to fire, get out, and it tries to come back in,
Mhm.
and I think that may be a constant battle. I don't know, maybe it'll go away one day.
I think sometimes I don't know that so-called grief ever goes away.
Yeah, definitely not.
And I don't know that it's supposed to go away,
I
because
don't.
the person and what you're grieving is always going to be a part of who you are.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think you can learn to overcome the debilitating emotions and effects of that and propel yourself forward to really live a fulfilled, purposeful life.
Yes. I believe if people can become aware when they lose their loved one of what that actually means as far as how it makes you feel and what it does to your life, I think that awareness can open the door to empathy to help somebody else. And it becomes a chain reaction to say, I know. But this helped me, and maybe this will help you, you know. And life really is worth living.
Right.
And it's so
Living
short.
well.
Yes. And that's why I love learning. I love learning anything that'll help me to grow as a person. I love that. I don't know why more people don't do it.
Well, if I can, when I go through this, if I can find that statement, it's really amazes me, because it says that most people don't
They don't.
growing. They stop growing after high school and college. And I think that the man who does our Toastmasters group, his name is Douglas Wilson. And he's an older gentleman. He lives there in Sumter. And he was saying only about 6% of people ever open up a nonfiction book after they graduate from college.
Wow.
And that's the statistic he said. I have not researched that, but to me, that's just sad.
I don't think I started growing, period, until I was like 40. I mean, that's when brain started working.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, I was oblivious till then, and then everything just started changing then.
Yeah. Mine was in nursing school. I was in my 20s.
Oh, well, that's good. You were
Well,
young.
but it's taken me a whole long time, because I was living in that world of the negative self-talk and comparison and not feeling good enough. And I truly did not use my voice until I probably got into my 30s and 40s. And now you see me, so
Yeah.
you can't lock it back up now. And I don't want to.
Don't want to. It's like we're just beginning,
Right. I think that's true. I think we've already talked about the opportunities are there, but to reach your full potential, this comes down to awareness again. You must know where you are and where you want to be, because there's a bridge there, and you have to learn how to cross that bridge. I think that's why I like coaching so much, is because I work with people where they are here, and I help them cross that bridge to where they want to be. But they have to know where they want to go.
Yes.
Well,
Well,
it's just an aimless journey.
exactly. And you will just aimlessly go. And that's what I tell people in the grief support groups, I'm like, we already know what the problem is. The problem is we have a broken heart, you know,
Yes.
but what's the solution to help us to live? You know, we need some tools here.
Well, you do. You need to, I think you need to examine what I call the backpack.
Yes.
You've got to look what you have in there that's not serving you well. Because I
Mhm.
know I went through a really hard time after, you know, I had dad, mom, and nephew die within what? Oh, go ahead.
My home phone never rings,
Oh, listen, if it rings, I don't answer it.
but it's ringing right now.
I
Yeah.
know. But I had a lot of death in like 6 years because we had my dad and Tony Berry, and we had mom, and then we had my nephew and my uncle, and then all of a sudden my other uncle died, and it's not even it broke our hearts. And I mean, I would go to bed, sleep in a fetal position at night because I was very broken. But we were also grieving a whole generation
Oh yeah.
because,
I
you
mean,
know, the
that's
whole
a lot.
generation's gone. And you're just like, I'm that generation now, you know, and we've got to carry on that.
It's a
But I
whole
think,
lot to work through.
yeah. So
It
it's more
is.
than just the grieving of a loss of a person. You know, you have your generation, you have your matriarch and your patriarch and your, you know, so
Your dreams and
taking,
plans and
yes.
all that.
So taking those, whatever you don't need out of that backpack. And then, like you said, looking at the tools you need to put back in it for your reserve that will
Yeah.
serve you well and help you live a good, aware life.
Yes, exactly.
So,
And you know, I believe what your friend at Toastmaster said, because it's like when I do group, I mean, I'll send out 120 to 150 invites, and at best I've ended up with 15.
wow.
And that's a big group.
Wow.
But that just always tells me I've had one and I've had up to 15.
Wow.
And I did group for that one, just like I did for the rest. And but it shows me every time. But you got to keep doing it to try to get people involved, you know. And I don't know. I think well, like what you do as far as helping women, that's like a revelation, you know, coming to that. Like with grief, it's like people used to handle it. My aunt was telling me that in Germany they used to do it. They took care of the body and everything.
Yes.
And then when funeral homes and all come in, they're like, "We'll do it, you know, you just don't worry about it." And then people didn't know how to grieve anymore.
No.
They didn't know how to, they had no coping skills, you know, because that was given to the funeral home to handle it.
Excuse me 1 minute. Amber.
Oh.
Sorry, she's dreaming and she's kicking the
Oh.
chest here.
Oh.
But that also comes down to being aware. It's kind of like knowing where your food comes from.
Yes.
You know, people make some very funny thoughts about they'll eat the steak that's in the store, but they don't equate the steak with the cow that's in the field.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just people just aren't aware.
Exactly.
What goes on.
Well, I think they believe that as far as awareness, I think maybe people think they can't handle it, you know.
It could be. And I think sometimes if you're
Scary.
aware and you're awake, you may make more waves.
Well, yes. Because, and you know, people don't like that. Don't be pointing that
No.
out to me. You know.
They really don't sometimes. And you're like, the trick sometimes is to help them come to their own awareness.
Yes.
You know, so you don't have to, because people have the answers inside themselves. They have the answers here. They do. It's just helping them tap into those answers, because your answers are going to be different than my answers. So everybody has their own potential and strength and answers within. It's just helping them tap into that.
Mhm.
And that comes down to awareness. Some people don't want to be aware. They just want to go on and status quo, and all of a sudden they live and they
Don't
die,
hold that
and
out. Yeah.
you know, there was no significance. There was just some people have great significance in just the small little things they do for people. I've got a cousin, Miles, who just is wonderful at he has a knack of just doing little things for people that just means so much. He's that aware. I don't know if he's aware that he does it, but he does it. And to me, that's significant. So I don't think you have to do something grand to be significant.
No.
It can just be the little things you do every day.
Make a big impact.
Right.
Yes.
So these are those three kinds of people I was talking about earlier. People who don't know what they like to do. These people are confused. You know, they don't know what they want to do. They just keep going, and
You hear it all the time. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
I know, and they may be 40
That's what
years old.
And I was one of them. Because I didn't start college till I was almost 50. And I wasn't going to go then, but the door just opened up. I was going to retire where I was at, but school, I ain't going to school.
But you became aware.
I mean, it was like light
And
bulb
you
went off.
had the courage to walk through that door.
It was one of the most beautiful experiences I had for 5 years. I loved it.
I had an aunt. No, she wasn't my aunt. I always called her cousin Louise and Aunt Louise, but she wasn't really related to me. Her husband was. But she was such a role model for me. She was a big Scots mountain woman. And she lived in Flat Rock, which is called the Charleston of the mountains, because a lot of people from Charleston would vacation up there, and her family just decided to stay there. She was I think her maiden name was Howe. And they stayed up there, and the one thing her dad always told her was, don't be a rubber stamp. Be yourself, be who you are. And believe me, she always was. She was the wittiest person. But she didn't start her writing career until she was 65 years old. And she started writing for a Hendersonville newspaper.
No way.
Wrote several articles for them. And then she wrote, and I have some of the books she's written, but I can't find them. But she wrote some books about the mountain people, the Appalachian mountain people, and their dialect and everything. So she was just a huge role model for me, because she truly didn't start her writing career until she was 65 years old.
Wow.
But she always had her voice.
Always had her voice.
Because her dad always encouraged her to do that.
That's awesome of her dad.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it was really, she was just, I would love for you to know her. She was fantastic.
Oh wow.
Excuse me. Then you have people who know what they want to do, but don't do it. And these are people who are frustrated because they stay at their same job, knowing they hate it, but they won't change it.
They just, fuss and fuss and fuss and fuss. And then.
But it's secure. They get a paycheck. They have benefits.
It ain't gonna be no better nowhere else,
So but they're frustrated because they really don't want to do that. But they're doing it because it's secure, or for some other reason, who knows, but they're frustrated.
Yes.
That's part of kind of how I was when I was the last stint in labor delivery. I knew I didn't want to do that, but I was doing it because it's what I knew, because I've been a nurse for 37 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, no, I just need to explore and figure out what I want to do. But I was very frustrated, very, very frustrated.
So you did that, even afraid.
Yep, I did. I'm still afraid,
Yeah.
but I'm
Well,
still doing it.
even when you have a job like me with my anxiety, you think, am I getting too old? Maybe they'll want to get somebody else. I mean, you just have all kinds of things
Oh yeah.
going through your head, and you're like, it's like talking to a committee up there. They're having a conversation and you're excluded. You're just listening.
But sometimes when that happens, you need to put yourself in the middle and you need to say, I am where I'm supposed to be. I am doing this well, and you can help me do this well. And change
all
those
y'all are
voices into
fired.
encourage. Either change those voices to encouraging voices or
Yes.
fire them, like you said.
Yes, and that goes back to the first law of intentionality. You intentionally have to, I put sticky notes around with positive things on, so if I walk by something, I read it. I mean, I intentionally have to do things like that,
Yes.
and it helps.
Well, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, before I even open my eyes, I really sometimes don't like to get up in the morning. I say, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please show me who I can serve and who I can help. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because if I don't, I may keep hitting that snooze button.
Oh, yes.
So I guess that's the first thing I say. Then I have my little devotional, but that's the first thing I wake up to. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day,
Yes.
And I listened to K-Love radio. I went to a really bad time about a year ago. I could actually feel the oppression on my chest. I could feel it. It was palpable. That's when I tried to move to Rock Hill, and it just wasn't the right thing. And it was bad. And I just prayed into meditation, and I found K-Love radio, and I was still in mastery coaching school at that point in time. And I had some wonderful transformational coaches, and they worked with me through this. I still had like 9 sessions to go. So we did them all, boom, 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 boom. And about mid-January, I actually felt it lift. I mean, I could feel it lift off my chest. And then I ended up moving back to Sumter because I knew that God just didn't want me to move up to Rock Hill. So
That's right.
But, those positive intentions, those positive affirmations, the prayer, the meditation, the making sure you surround yourself with the positive people is just so essential.
Oh, it's so
So
important.
essential.
And just like, moving to Rock Hill, my experience, my Rock Hill was when I moved to Virginia, and I was there 3 months. I became so depressed. This was years ago, but if I hadn't have done it, you might have been the same way. You'd wonder,
Yeah.
And so doing it takes a lot of courage, and it turns out, well, but don't beat yourself up, and I didn't, and I know you don't, but it's like, I wasn't going to beat myself up before I did it. I can't believe I did it. And I did it,
See? And you survived.
I survived.
And now you're thriving.
Did not stay long, but I was working at Time Life in Richmond, Virginia, so, and as soon as the day was done, I'd cry the rest of the evening. I was so depressed, but.
Yeah, I really do.
But
I was up in Rock Hill for 4 months.
Yeah.
But what happened was the census started dropping at that hospice. And I realized that they were going to have to let somebody go, and so I volunteered to transfer back to Sumter. So it was like God's way of saying, this is not where you're supposed to be. You need to go home.
Yeah. And your house is still there.
Yes, it didn't sell. Thank goodness.
I know. Isn't that funny?
And the third kind of people are people who know what they want to do and they do it. And these people are fulfilled. I know that I'm getting more fulfilled the more I do things. I know my Louise was very fulfilled. Those are people who know what they want to do and they do it.
I
in the
feel
sense,
fulfilled in what I do. I never feel, you know, even my doctor, he'll worry about, I said, I don't ever feel it's just that the regular anxiety, but it's nothing to do with the people I serve or how many it is, or, I never feel overwhelmed with that other than I worry that somebody will feel left out.
right, right.
But as far as what I do, I think it's like this is like the best job ever.
And for you it is, and I think that's great.
I mean, that's what people say. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. I said, well, I couldn't be a nurse.
Well, nursing is no longer my passion. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Actual nursing is no longer my passion. But even with what I'm doing, nursing enters in. I was a behavioral health nurse for umpteen trillion years. I work
Yeah.
with mental health patients and things. So that comes into play a great deal.
I bet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you feel fulfilled. You're beginning to feel fulfilled.
I'm beginning to feel fulfilled. I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
But I'm beginning to get there. So I think we've actually discussed what it means to be personally aware. We've already discussed that.
Yeah.
And these are some questions that people really need to ask themselves, like, do you like what you're doing now?
Yes.
Like when you were up in Virginia, do I like what I'm doing now? When I was in labor delivery, and I was like, do I really like what I'm doing now?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer was no. And if you don't like what you're doing now, why do it?
Exactly.
Find something that you do like to do, and then get the training you need, the people you need, and to go forward with it.
And I think people would become more aware if they realized they had choices or vice versa. I don't know. It kind of goes hand in hand. It's like, I do have the power to choose.
Right.
I'm not a victim to what situation I'm in. And when I realized that, I mean, I've been in bad relationships where, it was an epiphany to realize I had a set of keys and it was my car and I could leave.
That's right.
It's like, oh my gosh, a ding ding moment, It's like, you just don't realize until you have that moment of clarity.
But you also have to be willing to take that risk.
Yes, that's right.
And you have to be willing to,
choose to do that.
Right. Choose to do it. And you have to be willing to pay the price for it. And I don't necessarily mean just monetary. I mean,
right.
It may be a little scary sometimes, but you've got to be willing to pay the price for it.
Mm-hmm.
So what, for someone who doesn't like what they're doing, what would they like to do? He talks about this man who wanted to be the MC for this baseball team. Because he asked him, what would you like to do? And he was like, He says, well, then you're in trouble. Because you things you may want to do, you have to make sure that you're also equipped to do them. I always, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a ballerina. I mean, I took ballet out in California and I loved it.
Oh, yeah.
But to be a professional ballerina, I was the wrong body type. I didn't have the finesse of the movements. I mean, I could do the rhythm and the movements and everything, but when you had the little delicate little hand things that you had to do, mine weren't delicate.
Yeah.
So I knew that wasn't going to be what I could do. But I do think that if you find something you really can do, I'm sorry, I'm looking through here just to see if there's something I want to. It's kind of like finding what you're, like I said, what you're passionate about. It may mean nothing like what you're doing, but something you're passionate about. And the thing is, can you do what you like to do? So just talking about, can you really be a commentator? Do you have the skills? Do you have the knowledge?
I love figure skating, but I know that would never be my life, you know.
I love skating, but I don't do it well.
Yeah, I mean, to watch figure skating is just
Oh,
phenomenal, you know. So I enjoy it from afar, and no, I will never be a figure skater. But with
no,
it,
but
oh, to be able to do something like that, you know.
but you're aware of that, and you can still enjoy it.
Oh yes.
Yeah. It's like I love basketball and I love tennis. I don't have what it takes to be a professional basketball player or a professional tennis player, but I love to watch them. Basketball gets me in trouble because I know enough about basketball because I played it as a kid that I start getting a little bit loud. So I don't always do so well at basketball games. And tennis, I just love to watch them come to the net and volley. And the figure skating and the dancing. Yeah, I love to watch it.
Gymnastics. Oh
Yeah,
gosh,
yeah.
phenomenal.
And that's coming to being aware, can you do what you would like to do? There's things I'm not going to do. And do you know why you want to do what you would like to do? Figure out what your why is.
Mhm.
That motivating factor of what you do. It says here, you will never fulfill your destiny doing work you despise. Passion gives you an average over others because one person with passion is greater than 99 who have only an interest. Passion gives you the energy. So finding what you're passionate about will give you the energy.
I feel like I was made to do what I do.
Oh, yes, phenomenal.
I think God equipped me for that. Don't know why, but it feels like that's what I'm supposed to be doing, like I was just made to do that.
Well, you feel it in your heart.
Yeah.
And
it
you
has
know.
I never have felt like, oh my God, I've never woke up and said that, ever.
Well, then that means you're aware and you found your passion.
Don't you feel like you were made to do what you're doing?
Now I do. And I think nursing helped me get there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure where the ability to handle risk came from. But it's there. My sisters don't have it, but that's okay. And sometimes I've taken risks that haven't turned out well, but that's okay.
That's
You live,
okay.
you learn, you grow.
That's it. You
That's
just learn
right.
not to do that again.
You're darn straight. You're darn straight. Oh Lord. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens.
That's beautiful.
So you have to look inside to awaken to what your true purpose is. And that comes down to being aware. Aware. Do you know what to do so you can do what you want to do?
The first thing that comes to mind is definitely being aware of the need to self-care.
Yes, yes.
If I don't, I mean, you can go off the deep end. If you feel that you're that needed, and I don't feel that, I feel like a seed planter, there'll be thousands of people by the time I'm done doing this job, that I'll have interacted with. And I feel like I've just, planted a little seed along the way. And, people shouldn't need me or anybody that much.
Right.
The plan is to empower them. And so that's a self-care thing, and to
But some
not,
people get their needs met by being needed.
yes,
And that's where they get their self-esteem needs met.
yes, exactly. So I feel like I've grown in that area because I don't feel that way,
Right.
And I remember telling one of my groups a few years ago, I was when I had the kitty that I had, and she was beautiful, and I found her a wonderful home. She had it made better than anywhere ever in the planet. And I was telling the group about it. I said, I just don't do needy, and they were like, you don't do needy? And I said, no. And they
No.
were like, why do you have a grief support group? And I said, no, that's not because y'all are needy. I said, I'm gonna give you a bucket of tools, and then I'm gonna kick you out when it's over.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to equip you to go forward and be empowered to live on your own.
They thought that was hilarious, and some of them say that they're lifers now. They keep coming back because I do different curriculums and stuff, and it just does my heart good. I feel like we're growing together.
Well, you are growing together, and but that also comes down to this next part: is they're becoming aware, they're becoming very conscious of the choices they make. They're taking action to do something different.
Mhm.
And they have you as an accountability because they know that you're going to ask them if they did it or not.
No matter how much homework I give them, they still.
But I have two good friends who one I've met in person and one I don't know. I haven't met in person. Cheryl Hutto and Denise Morrison. They're both coaching friends of mine. And Denise I met when we went to San Diego for the mastery retreat. But they hold me accountable. If I say I'm going to do something, by George, they're going to ask me about it. And I know they're going to ask me about it.
Yes.
So it makes me that much more, I'm going to do it because I am accountable to somebody.
Makes you much more aware of what you share, don't it?
Exactly. And you're like, oh,
what am I gonna do? Am I gonna tell them I'm gonna do that?
Yeah, if I wait to share the things I don't think I'm gonna do. Because I know that's a Eugenie. But then I think by doing this, you also start attracting the people that are like-minded. There are people that I don't see much anymore. I have a core group of friends, but they also encourage me to move forward. Excuse me. And I think that's real important. You start attracting like-minded people. And even the Toastmasters group I'm involved in, which is on Tuesday nights, they came into my life because I'm trying to work on my public speaking as well. And two of them are John Maxwell people.
Oh, how neat.
So it's really nice being able to have, and they hold me accountable. They really do. So it's attracting the people around you. And the more you do the things you love to do and grow in those things, the more you attract the people to you that will help you get better and better.
I believe that.
Yeah, will help you. Yeah.
And we do lose people along the way, but that's just the way it is,
Yes, we do. I recently had someone come to my home who didn't have a place to go. And the first time she came, I was a little more lenient just because she was sick. She really was sick. and there was some other extenuating circumstances. But the second time she came, I actually made her pay rent. And because she was here for 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
And I had her pay rent. And I had her take responsibility for certain things because, you know, she's going to go find her own place and be out there. And I don't know that it would be good for her to come back here again. You know, she's still making decisions and choices that aren't going to serve her well, but that's her little red wagon.
That's it.
You know?
Exactly.
So,
and you can, you know, enable a person,
exactly.
and you got to teach them how to fish.
Yes, you do.
I'm glad I was taught how to fish, you know. That's what helped me in the beginning of my grief and dealing with it, because I was not finding good support anywhere until I went to see Ramel, and she's the one that helped me. And because of that, she gave me tools, because she had tools.
Right.
And so that really empowered me a lot.
And see, the right people came
Mhm.
into your life. Sorry, here comes the cat now. She wants to be
Aw.
heard. So sometimes it's also knowing people who do what you like to do, and they help you get committed.
Mhm.
And sometimes you have to pay these people. Like I have paid for coaching, and I have paid for other things because I knew I needed them to move forward.
Mhm.
But sometimes, like Cheryl and Denise, we don't pay each other. We just are there for each other, and we keep each other. We're all coaches, so we can kind of encourage and coach each other, and that works out wonderful.
They're like in your inner circle.
Do I now?
They're like in your inner circle.
Yes, they are.
Yep.
They're wonderful. But we're going to have a coffee meeting sometime just for fun. Be consistent. And that means meet regularly with people who can help you. Be consistent in that.
Mhm.
I have the Toastmasters group. I'm always on, excuse me, I'm getting a frog. John Maxwell calls. They have mentoring calls. And
I have 2 friends I meet with every Saturday night.
see, and you're consistent with it.
Mhm.
Because they help you and y'all support each other and help
Yep.
each other grow. If they're going to be an anchor to hold you back, you're going to have to just snip that cord, and that's sometimes real hard to do.
Yeah.
But you have to do it. Be creative. Like, learn from people if you can't meet them. Denise and I and Cheryl and I, we can't meet with each other in person, so we Zoom.
Exactly.
You know, be purposeful, prepare for the interactions. You and your friends support each other because you're prepared and you know what each other need.
Mhm.
So that's real important. And to be reflect on each other, each encounter, and discover what you are learning. Every time I talk to Cheryl Denise, I learn something, whether it's internal or whether it's how to better create my avatar. You know, there's things that I learned from them.
Yeah.
And see, Cheryl's does grief work, and she's also a coach for caregivers.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, that's good.
So, yes. Be grateful. Always show appreciation from what you're learning. I can't tell you how many times I tell Cheryl Denise, I appreciate you guys so much. And the people at Toastmasters, I appreciate you so much because, and if I'm ever on a call and I ask a question, I say, thank you very much, because they always help. It's just, and I'm so grateful for anything that someone can teach me, because there's so many things I don't know.
Exactly.
You know, there's a whole world out there that I'm learning about.
Exactly.
So, and let's say this, if you do find a mentor that is helping you with your awareness and helping you with your growth, you need to possess a teachable spirit. This is something I have trouble with at work currently, because I'm still working in nursing 3 days a week. And I have this one little lady, and I know she hates her job. and she doesn't want to work. And she's not teacher. She's really not teachable. I've tried, and she just ignores me, and she won't even answer me sometimes.
Oh my,
So she doesn't possess a teachable spirit.
no.
Always be prepared. If you go see your mentor, always have questions and things for them. Demonstrate what you've learned from them and be accountable.
Yes.
Now, if you're a mentor, make sure you teach on your strengths. I wouldn't dare go try to teach somebody how to do marketing, because
No,
that ain't my strength,
me neither.
you know. Or
I couldn't sell nothing.
So I don't even try to do that. And if it's something that I don't like, my sister's a manager at Hibbett. She's a wonderful manager. She does a terrific job. I was more of a democratic manager, and nurses don't always like democratic managers. They're used to boom, 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 boom. So work from your strengths. Find something that suits your temperament. If you're not an extrovert and a vivacious person, you may not want to mentor someone who's up here, because unless they want you to help them get more moderate,
Yes.
because that is going to wear you out.
Like I learned a long time ago, I am a wonderful student, but I am not a good teacher.
Well, you've taught me a lot today.
Oh, thank you.
So you really can teach. You just need to make sure you're working in your strengths
Yeah.
and your temperament, because you can teach.
Well, maybe it's because you're a good student.
Oh, I'm teachable.
You're teachable.
I have a teachable
Try
spirit.
teaching somebody that ain't teachable.
You can't.
You can't.
You really can't. Like that lady at work. She's a young, smart woman who could definitely do the job. She just doesn't want to, and she's not.
I know.
teachable.
I know.
And make sure you mentor from where your passion is coming from. We're not going to go over that part. This is an example of a mentoring relationship from the mentee, or the person being mentored. Is, here is what I asked you. Here is what I heard you share with me. Excuse me a minute. Here is what I did from what I learned from you. Now, can I ask more questions? Because you're showing that you did what they did, what they asked you to do. You learned from it, you're growing from it, and now you want to grow some more. The first part is, will you pay the price? And that, like I said, that's not only a monetary, that is, will you do what you have to do to get where you want to be and to help the people that you want to help? Because what John Maxwell, and one thing I really love what he said was, we are people of value who value people and add value to people.
That's nice.
Yes. So will you pay the price to be able to add value to yourself so that you can add value to other people? And when can you start doing what you like to do?
Anytime.
Now.
Yeah.
You're already doing what you like to do and what you're called to do. Me, I'm starting, but I'm doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
This right here is part of what I'm doing for practice and to learn from and to grow with. So you can do it now. And you can start from here. You don't have to be this big guru person. You can start from right here.
That's right.
And what will it be like when you get to do what you want to do?
It'll be fulfilling, as it said.
And also, like you said, you get up in the morning and you are excited.
Yes.
About your job. You're excited about what you get to do. So
I know.
You're doing what you like to do.
It can be full of surprises too. It's you can get stuck in the mundane of things. And I had a wonderful surprise today. A year ago, we had a patient who passed, and we had the husband and the son on bereavement.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
even when the wife was alive, when Volunteer and I would go take goodies to her, he never really did say anything, and he'd go in the other room and stuff like that. So he never did talk to us. And then after she passed, well, he never would answer the phone or anything like that, but he never declined the support. So I just continued sending him the letters for 13 months and the handouts and everything I had, I sent to him. Never heard a word. In the meantime, months into it, his son was calling me. He's worried about Dad. And this, I said, I will do anything I can to help, but nothing ever came. His dad wouldn't talk, and today, Dad calls me. He got his closure letter, and he wanted to call and tell me how much he appreciated my kindness and that he had read them all, and he was sorry that he had contacted me before. I said, you have nothing to be sorry for. And I said, you have no idea how much you've made my day, just to know that you called me. He said, it's still hard, and I still feel like she's here. And I said, I'm sure she is.
She is there.
Yeah. And he said, please don't forget me. He said, and check on me from time to time. I said, well, I sure will now that I got your cell phone number. He started laughing because he called me from his cell phone. So now I got his cell phone number.
Well, see, I think that's wonderful, though, that you never know what seeds you're planting. You never know.
Never. And it was just, oh my gosh, how beautiful, but that's what, when you just keep doing, when you do find what you're supposed to be doing and you just keep doing it, you just never know.
You don't. You just plant seeds, and you may never see them. You may never see them come to fruition.
Never.
But in your case, you got to see it.
Yes, wasn't that great?
Actually, it's wonderful. I really do. I think it's wonderful. I really do.
So sweet.
So I guess what I want to leave everybody with is I want you to, there's a lot here, and this will be, it's being recorded, so this will be on the recording. But what I'd like you to do is to truly start looking at your strengths, what your passions are, and really look at what you're doing now to see if it's really what you want to do. And if it's not, then start, and it could be small steps like reading a book, listening to a podcast. It could be watching videos, but start exploring that calling that's in your heart.
Well, it's like, what am I going to do when I retire, Eugenie?
I'm not going to.
I can't keep doing this forever,
No, but you can start looking now at what you'd like to do.
Exactly.
Because
that's the exciting part. What is next?
This is next for me. I have found what I'm not going to retire, because I'm going to keep growing and doing and working to awaken women, empower them, and equip them. And that's what I'm going to do. I also want to equip women so they can be mentors for the young women coming up, so that we can have some wonderful leadership and just different opportunities for them.
Much needed.
So that's and I've got a long way to go. I'm not, I'm just taking those baby steps and step and step. Do a little, you learn a little, you do a little, you evaluate it, you measure it, then you learn a little bit, and you do a little bit, and you learn it, and you evaluate it, and you measure it to see whether it's successful and it's what the path you need to be on. So take some time now to look, especially if you're thinking about, you'll be 61. And we all have this age of retirement, although I throw mine out the window, because
I'll still be doing something. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So start looking at your strengths and really see what brings you passion so that it can ignite that fire. It can bring you to awareness so that you can start making those small steps towards what you want to do and what path you want to take. It might be along the same path. You
I
know,
have a feeling.
there's, I actually have a subspecialty in grief coaching because there's actually grief coaches out there. So there's all different kinds of paths that you can go with.
Mhm.
But for you, my suggestion would be to start now. You know, reading the books, finding out what ignites that passion in you, so that when you do decide to stop working as hard as you work, because you work very hard, stop working as hard as you work, you can make that smooth transition.
So there are people who just do grief coaching.
Yes, yes. I actually took a grief coaching course. I sure did. She was phenomenal. Cheryl Hutto recently took a grief coaching course. So you can be certified as a grief coach. And now grief coaching, we're going to have to, I'm going to do my end, then we can still talk.
Okay.
Okay. But next week, we're going to talk about the law of the mirror. And I want you to think both of what you say to yourself and how you see yourself in the mirror, but also to realize that the universe is a mirror that reflects everything back that we say back to us. And that's the reason why it's so important to be careful of what we put out there, because it's going to come back, because it's a mirror. And I want all the women to know that you are beautiful, you are worthy and valuable. I love you, God loves you, and God bless. Have a good night.
Thanks, Eugenie.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen and stop recording, but we can still talk.